Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. With me today is Brandon Mintz, who's the founder and CEO of Bitcoin Depot. Brandon, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me again, Tony.
Yeah, Brandon, a lot's changed since we last spoke. A lot of exciting news on your end as Bitcoin Depot has officially gone public. Can you break that down for us? What was the process, the valuation, all the details there?
Yeah, totally. In late summer of 2022, we announced that we would be entering a business combination agreement with a SPAC. And that was our process of going public versus traditional IPO. And SPACs have become a lot more popular since 2020, since the early COVID days. And essentially, there's some back and forth with the SEC. There's a capital raise from investors, which we completed. And then we were at a final point to close on June 30th of last month. And our first day of trading began on the NASDAQ on July 3rd. So not too long ago.
No, that's exciting. So what does this mean for the company? Obviously, I know most folks are familiar with, going public and things like that and getting listed. But what does it mean for Bitcoin Depot and your plans for growing and the rest of 2023?
Well, being a public company is always great in terms of having better access to capital versus privately. It's also a great tool just to be able to give employees incentives by issuing stock grants in the company as well, and attracting the best talents that we can possibly attract in the industry and from outside the industry. But most importantly, having that public currency as our stock to be used for potential partnerships and acquisitions can be very valuable as well. And you've probably heard me talk about opportunities in the industry to consolidate the Bitcoin ATM operators. So we think that it could be very valuable for that specific opportunity.
And as far as your roadmap for the remainder of 2023, are there any new developments or plans that you can share, as far as new services, new tech, expansion to different locations and things like that?
Yeah, since we started the public process, we've really been focused on organic growth primarily. A lot of big announcements and new product launches can really derail, I guess, and lengthen that process. So you'll notice that we have grown quite a bit organically since we announced this process. In Q1 of this year, we had really strong revenue growth and we had record EBITDA. And a lot of that is due to our retailer pipeline. So in 2023, we've already announced about 7 new retail partnerships, and a couple of the notable ones gave us access to a few hundred stores. So expanding our Bitcoin ATM fleet into large retailers and hopefully some more household names is very important to us and something we plan to continue doing moving forward. Also, last year we announced our BD checkout product, which allows you to download our app and use our app, the Bitcoin Depot app, to go into one of the major retailers that we have on the platform, scan the QR code provided by the app, and insert cash, load it to your account, and then convert that to Bitcoin ultimately. And so we have a few thousand locations on that product as well. And we want to continue to expand BD checkout into more and more retailers over time. But one notable thing as well that we did in early 2023, a lot of people may not be aware of this, is we converted all of our roughly 7,000 Bitcoin ATMs to our own internal operating software called BitAccess. which generated the company over $3 million of annualized savings. And now we're vertically integrated. We bought BitAccess around 2 years ago, and it really just gives us a lot of flexibility to continue to create and develop new products. But outside of all that, those organic opportunities, again, we're looking around for potential acquisition targets. There's nothing concrete in the works yet, but seeing what opportunities exist.
Can you tell us a bit about the maybe some of the big name retailers that you're working with?
The biggest notable one is Circle K. They have 15,000 roughly locations worldwide and around 10,000 in the US and Canada. But this year we announced a partnership with GetGo as well. They have a few hundred stores in the Northeast. And then Jackson's Food Stores has somewhere around over 250 plus stores as well.
Mm. And are you only supporting Bitcoin right now, or are there maybe some altcoins available like Ethereum, or are there plans to add them?
We're only supporting Bitcoin at the moment. There's just a higher risk level these days when supporting these other digital assets.
Yeah, and I think I know a lot of folks are waiting for clarity in the industry. There are quite a few crypto bills being proposed by members of the Senate as well as Congress. Um, and we'll see, if we get something through this year. I know yesterday was the big news of Ripple winning the lawsuit against the SEC, XRP getting that clarity. But the entire market itself doesn't have that clarity yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of Bitcoin, what are your thoughts on BlackRock filing for a Bitcoin spot ETF? And then that seemed to open the floodgates where every other institutional investor from Wall Street wants to get one as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great opportunity for the industry, and it's an amazing way to allow a lot of capital on the sidelines to come in. And yeah, I've seen the flurry of names filing for ETFs as well. It really just shows that this is a really serious asset class now, where the largest institutions in the world want to enter it in a safe way for their investors. And ETFs are one of the safest ways to invest traditionally, and it allows people an opportunity to have access to investing in crypto without necessarily having to worry about holding it themselves in a non-custodial wallet where you got to keep your private keys and passwords secure, or trusting a third-party exchange with custody as well. And over the past year, we've obviously seen how that has played out with a lot of the exchanges filing for bankruptcy. And just BlackRock alone has tens of trillions of dollars of assets under management. According to some sources I've seen, they're the largest asset manager in the world. So I don't think there is a better announcement to start the summer of 2023 than that.
Yeah, it's incredibly bullish. And we seem to be entering a new level of Bitcoin adoption, and these TradFi players here recognizing this asset, its potential. And to your point of the ETFs, just it's going to allow so much capital to flow into the asset, especially like retirement accounts and so forth. Investment advisors can now offer it up to many of their clients. I've spoken to some over the years, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't touch this stuff yet, but ETF, especially from the likes of BlackRock and Fidelities and so forth, would definitely help usher in a lot more adoption of the asset."
Totally. And especially now that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as an asset class is, well over a decade old. Now you're starting to see we're past that early adopter phase a little bit, and you're starting to see also some of that older demographic feel comfortable to enter the space. But at the same time, it's still difficult to decide where to go between an exchange or a non-custodial wallet. And I know plenty of wealthy people in that baby boomer demographic that still own no crypto. They have plenty of money to do so, but they just have not had a trusted advisor um, like BlackRock or some other similar firm tell them that here is the safe place to go.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so obviously on that news of BlackRock entering the market, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market has been rallying. Bitcoin, I think currently over like 31K right now. What are your thoughts? The halving is coming up next year. Do you see the 4-year cycles playing out again where maybe we see a new all-time high in 2025?
Personally, I'm still a big believer in the 4-year cycle and the upcoming halving sometime in the spring of 2024. And just the data from the past shows the time leading up to the beginning of that next halving has been pretty bullish. So I think with all of these announcements and just that whole SEC Ripple lawsuit providing a little bit more clarity to people, it seems like that combined with the upcoming halving could spur a lot of bulls coming into the space.
Yeah, it's exciting times. We'll see what happens. The macroeconomic picture is still not great. With the Fed still tightening. Yes, they pause rate hikes, but they may raise again. I don't think they're back to full QE yet, even though they're doing some backdoor type things with these bank bailouts or bail-ins. So it's to be seen. But yeah, I'm excited for the halving next year and to see what the next cycle brings. Um, I know we kind of talked about it in our last interview, kind of the logistics of how folks can use Bitcoin Depot. But as a refresher, maybe you can give us a quick overview of, let's say folks want to use Bitcoin Depot at one of the retail stores you mentioned, right? Maybe there's one in their town. What would be the steps to do that?
Well, there are a few different options. One option that people probably are not aware of at all is on our website, you can actually use a debit card as well. So it's not only cash while our business is primarily cash based.
Hmm.
That is one option. So you don't have to physically go anywhere. And that is also something we plan to integrate into our app at some point. But besides that, our core business always has been Bitcoin ATMs. So you can download the Bitcoin Depot wallet app or any wallet of your choice for our BTMs, which is what we call them, but it's also our ticker symbol on the NASDAQ. You can use any wallet. It's completely wallet agnostic. And once you've done that, you go up to one of our machines. You're going to type in your phone number, as well as some additional identifying information because we do have KYC requirements in place. Then you're going to provide your wallet address by scanning your QR code from the wallet of your choice, insert cash, and the Bitcoin will be sent to your wallet shortly. And also within our app, and you do have to use our app for this one, is the BD checkout product I mentioned a few minutes ago that launched last year, where you just place an order for the retail location of your choice. And we actually show all of our locations, whether it's BTMs or BD checkout locations within our app. After you choose the retailer you want to go to, you select the amount you would like to buy. And since we're using our wallet, the system already knows where the Bitcoin is going. It's going to your your Bitcoin Depot wallet. And then you get a barcode to scan at the retailer, just like a barcode, like a prepaid card. And then you hand over cash to the cashier. The wallet gets loaded with cash and you convert that to Bitcoin. So all of these options, depending on how quick you are and how much cash you're inserting or handing over, it can take as little as a minute.
Hmm. That's awesome. And I know we talked about it in the last interview, but yeah, this is just a great on ramp for folks to get into the asset class because There are folks who look, not everybody's going to use Coinbase, not everybody's going to use these different options. So it's great that there are different options for different folks in different demographics and different regions of the country and the world. So good stuff, man. Um, Appreciate your time, Brandon. Congrats again on going public, and we'll definitely want to have you back on as things progress on your end.
Well, thanks so much, Tony, for having me. Always free whenever you want to catch up, and we'll see what happens here in this next cycle.